What's going on? What's going on? How y'all doing? How y'all doing, man? Man, it's been a interesting weekend for me. It's an interesting other day. Had to be there with my family for some personal things, but got through it. And we're back to work. Uh, it just so happens that the things that took place are, you know, I would say tied into one of the main reasons why I'm writing my story is just dealing with things that I personally need to heal from, and things that I've seen that my close loved ones and relatives need to heal from, and pulling from that and taking from those emotions and feelings and experiences and put it into a very interesting story form. But the thing that I want to talk about today, I just want to get straight into it. Uh, like I said, I'm very close to my family, and my nephew, he's really big on Rick and Morty. Uh, I used to be a very, very, very avid Family Guy watcher at some point, and I'm definitely at this point in my life, especially as a father, got kids, like, we're not watching that here, man. It's up to them. When they become grown, they can watch that on their own time if they want to. But I'm not saying that the comedy was very interesting, and I feel like Rick and Morty has that same level of comedy, so to speak. But there's a flow of story that just really kept you engaged. Like, I used to always, when I was in my binge watching type of mind frame, uh, binge watching Family Guy kind of died down at some point. But for some reason, Rick and Morty has a way that you could binge through it. It has those story elements that just like, it's here, it's here, it's here, it's here, boom. Unless it has like some type of part two or something like that, some type of story that they're trying to portray. Uh, it has a very good flow. And come to find out, as I got into the writing space, Dan Harmon, who's I guess the main writer of the story, has a story circle, and he pretty much took from the traditional. He stepped away from the 3 act structure that everybody always uses. I'm not saying that he doesn't disagree with it. And also the story circle, he said this is not like uh, the bread and butter, but like when you are in a spot where you need to get some assistance from your writing, this is a good way to turn the wheel, so to speak. And let me have it pulled up, because I did have it pulled up. He had the story circles in 8 beats. Let me see if I can have it pulled up. Every time I get on here, my internet starts being ridiculous. I should have had it pulled up for the video game. Oh, there we go. All right. So first, it starts off with you. You establish the protagonist. So in my story, I'm establishing my protagonist. And when you establish your protagonist, you can introduce things about them. You have to be plotting them in their ordinary world, which goes back to, like I said, I'm using Scribble, and I actually enjoy Scribble. I was doing the trial version. I'm definitely gonna get it. Um, I know they're gonna make this interface better. Given, I feel like any subscription based company at some point is gonna upgrade in some type of way. I hope they do. They definitely catch up with the visualness of campfire storytelling. Uh, but yeah, most definitely. Oh, the music cut out. Yeah, see, every time I get on here, I don't know. I guess I'm overusing the internet or something. I don't know. But I digress. Let me get that off of here because I still want my background music for the video. As soon as I turn the internet off, let's see what happens. Oh, no. Nope. Who knows? Anyways, let's get to it though. So, right. Exactly. So, in number one, you have to establish your protagonist. Um, beat two is that they have to need something. Something isn't right. Um, you can't understand why you're in the story until they show some type of need. And it has to be like something isn't quite right, like something's not right, something is missing. It just gives you insight to like care about the character, because you get to care about the character in you, who they are, what they're doing, or just enough. It depends on the type of story that you have, and then the need. Something isn't quite right, and then we're gonna go move on to number 3, which is the go, crossing the threshold. Um, this is more so like it could be action. It could be. It just depends on what type of story that you're writing. And then number 4 is the search, the road of trials. Um, that's an interesting one, because when you think about a trial, you think about something that's like a conflict to the character. And in my situation, there's a therapy session. So, like, in all honesty, like all these story circles points are actually being met, but it just depends on where you are. See, right now I'm in the beginning stage of my story, so certain things are not as important to be shown, and it's not like you have to use all 8 of them in one setting. You could just use maybe half of it. You could use all of it. It just depends on where you at. But just for the sake of me introducing the story circle, if anybody never heard of it, I'm just introducing it to you because I thought it was quite interesting, especially when you add that to the 3-act structure, the hero arc. Uh, Number 5 is define, meeting the goddess as they have it. I guess finding something important, something that's like of value, that I needed this. This is my reward for my search. And then the take. When they take something, there has to be a price that is paid. It could be a good price or a bad price. It just has to be something that it's definitely going to move the plot forward. Not just like, okay, uh, you know, I found the treasure, but like Indiana Jones, that's a good example. It's right in the beginning of the story. As soon as he gets like the little treasure or whatever at the end of his like little adventure of getting to the end of the cave, the ball and everything start collapsing. Oh, there we go. There we go. Start collapsing and stuff like that. That's like a paying the price situation that you can think of. And then the return, bringing it on home. That's number 7. And then number 8 is the change. Uh, what the character has learned from going through this circle, and then you could actually repeat all this throughout. And that's what Dan Harmon usually uses for writing his stories, because they all usually have a complete story told every episode, rather than like Family Guy had. It's just like kind of like some episodes are just like all over the place. uh yeah, internet's acting up. I'm it's making laugh. I'm cheap. I'm not gonna say I'm cheap. I just feel like cell phone carriers companies bills are like just too high, and I've always been the guy to get the prepaid service, and it's always been great. Like, it's been great for quite some time. There we go. Yeah, get together. It's been great for quite some time, but it's like, nah, lately they're like, okay, nah, we know you don't like using our regular subscription. We gonna start slowing up your data. Like, usually it's like, okay, use all your data up. Unlimited data is not unlimited data, but I digress. Let me stop getting off of that. Let me get off of that. But there in Harmon Story Circle, you have your need, your go, your search, your find, your take, your return, and then change. This is a very good flow of story, in my opinion. And I applied that to my first chapter of my story. And it just to give you, I'm not gonna give you any details of what's going on in the story, because I actually want you to read it. Uh, I actually want you to read it because hey, well, it's my story. Come on now, shout out to me, shout out to my family, and shout out to all my experiences. Number one, shout out to God. But and also, it's interesting. It has, as I look at the illustration, I'm a screen share next time I'm on here, but it has numbers 1, 2, and 3, and 8 on the side of order, and it has 4, 5, 6, and 7 on the side of chaos. That's an interesting thing. It's like some weird thing going on with that. But yeah, there's chaos in the search. There's chaos in the find, the take, Uh, and honestly, like you can't necessarily say that. And it looks like an eyeball as well. This is an interesting. This is a very interesting diagram. Uh, I wonder what would happen if you flip it the other way around. What type of story would that be? If you have like, okay, there's chaos in the establishing of a protagonist. I guess it depends on the type where you are in your story, what type of story you have. But I feel like this is definitely like one of the many of tools that you can use. There's so many different tools. There's so many different videos on YouTube on how to write the story and screenplays and this and that. And the one that stuck out to me was this one. Of course, the hero 3-act story structure. That's one of the main ones that I really enjoy. But I just definitely want to touch on that. And as far as I've been watching One Piece. I haven't seen the last episode. I saw the one before that, and it's the one when Kaido was drinking and pretty much being extra goofy. You know, I'm pretty sure what's his name, Oda. Oda does not use the story circle. He just be like, I'm not saying the story isn't good. The One Piece story is definitely uh, very very good. Oh, excuse me. But it's wrapping up. You can see that it's wrapping up. I saw them go back to Reverie with the five elders. I forgot the name of the supreme ruler. We don't know who that is exactly. They just keep showing like this black cloak figure or whatever. Um, it's definitely revving up. Reverie, catching that. Oh man, but yeah, it's definitely picking up as far as like the main plot points of the story that it's always been pulling on since the beginning of the story, or especially since like the world government with Rob Lucci. Like we learned about CP9, they got the CP0 going after Nico Robin. Um, I definitely predict that. Like I said in another video, or I don't know if I got it to upload it, but Usopp is definitely gonna have some type of character growth. It's something they might go to Elbaf some type of way, but it's definitely on his way. Sanji already got his cut. This is Zoro's kind of spotlight, but I wouldn't say that this was Zoro's story. Like Sanji got pretty much like a whole movie to me, with his parents and family and stuff like that. So, and so did pretty much everybody except for Zoro and Usopp. There's the only ones left. Um, you know, the Fishman dude, man, I forgot his name just that quick. Jinbei. Jinbei, yeah, I mean, the Fishman arc, that's pretty much his story. I mean, the Sun Pirates and stuff like that. There's going to be some more information revealed, I'm sure, but Zoro is definitely need more insight of, you know, his story. We know a lot about Zoro already, but it's just, I feel like they ain't go in depth enough, which kind of goes to my theory that they're going to Zoro off at some point. Somebody has to go. And, or, I mean, they could be like, oh, we all made it. I don't know. We'll see. I digress, but yeah, man, I definitely wanted to talk about Dan Harmon Story Circle just to give you that information if you never heard about it. And if you're writing, if you're working on something, if you're just out here living, just make sure that you find fulfillment what you do. Love life, because um, life is a gift. Life is precious. Um, like I said, I actually attended a funeral. That's the event that I went to, and nothing. Some people don't like going to funerals and stuff like that, but certain things needs to be heard, and based off of my belief and what I believe in, the faith that I have, and things that I believe is definitely like something that needed to be heard from myself and my family. And we buried my uncle. He was a great man. Um, just was this is a very interesting experience for sure. But yeah, I digress. Like I said, man, you guys just be blessed, keep God first, and walk in the spirit. You know people by their fruits, and if the fruits that you're putting out is not what love, joy, peace, long suffering. You know the fruits, the nine fruits. Like if you could just judge a person by their fruits, and not putting that out, readjust yourself and ask, God each day to like, God, what am I doing wrong? What am I doing to be more like you? And I feel like the more you do that, the more you'll be able to know how to maneuver in this world, especially get a hold on what you're going through and your emotions and your inner battles, what's your inner conflict and your inner story circle. You know what I'm saying? But I digress, man. But you guys be blessed and have a great day. Love y'all. Thanks.